You cheated on me. We're getting a divorce.
Get out of this house, you lousy wife.
Those were the harsh words hurled at me by them. A week after giving birth, neither of them had visited or even contacted me. I had wondered what was going on, but this was beyond shocking. I never cheated. What on earth are you talking about?
We know everything. The baby you gave birth to looks just like my best friend, Eric.
Cheating with your husband's best friend and having his child? You're the worst kind of woman, a conniving fox.
Of course, I hadn't cheated, but neither my husband, Logan, nor my mother-in-law, Catherine, would listen to a word I said. I tried to have a discussion while staying temporarily at a hotel, but all my attempts failed. Eventually, I filed for divorce, and a new chapter of life began with just me and my son, Jacob. 11 years passed. One day, while enjoying a picnic under the cherry blossoms with Jacob in the park.
Wait, is that you, Emily?
So this kid must be.
Get out of my mother's sight immediately.
My name is Emily Brown. I'm 25 years old this year. After graduating high school, I went to a trade school and eventually got a job at a design firm. Since I've loved drawing since I was little, I genuinely enjoy my days. I finished the design draft. What do you think?
It's amazing. I'm sure the client will love it. Go ahead with the next steps.
Thank you so much. Design involves foundational techniques and rules, but it's also a job where communication skills are crucial. Our job is to create designs that meet the client's needs. That's what our job is all about. For someone like me, who's never been shy and has always been able to approach anyone with a cheerful attitude since I was little, it's not that hard at all. That's why time flew by as I enjoyed my work, and before I knew it, I was 25 and starting to feel pressured to settle down. While everyone around me was getting married, I had been focusing solely on my career, living a life completely disconnected from romance. It was during this time that I was introduced to Logan Carter through my friend Eric Smith, who worked in corporate planning at the same company.
Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
Logan was 2 years older than me and Eric's childhood friend and best buddy. Like me, he was looking for a serious relationship leading to marriage, and we hit it off right from the first date. We continued to meet for meals a few more times.
Will you be my girlfriend? I promise to make you the happiest person in the world.
Yes, I'd love to. Logan asked me out, and we started dating. Logan was the type of man who took the lead on our dates, showing his gentlemanly side. He had a certain level of success in his career and was leading a fulfilling personal life. Everything seemed perfect, and before I knew it, a year had passed. On the first anniversary of our relationship, we decided to get married, officially becoming husband and wife.
I want you to be a stay-at-home wife from now on. It's about how people see us, and more importantly, taking care of the house is a woman's job.
What? But my career is going well, and I want to continue my work in design.
If you keep working, people in the neighborhood will think we can't make ends meet without your income. That's embarrassing. You need to quit your jobs. It's non-negotiable.
Just as I was about to embark on what I thought would be a happy life with Logan, I was faced with an enormous challenge. Nowadays, there's nothing unusual about both spouses working. Besides, I wanted to save money for the future. Raising kids costs a lot of money, and I wouldn't have the same freedom to work once we had children. So it's only natural to save as much as possible while I still could. We talked about wanting kids someday, and that takes money, right?
Yeah, but what about our image? People will think I don't earn enough.
Most people don't think like that these days. Besides, shouldn't our future be more important than what others think? Especially with the idea of having kids in mind. I tried to be as logical as possible. But no matter what I said, Jacob wouldn't budge. He was overly concerned about appearances and insisted that I quit my job and become a full-time housewife.
I'm willing to compromise with remote work, but if it involves going to the office, it's a no-go. And you'll have to handle all the housework perfectly. If anyone finds out you're working, you'll have to quit immediately. If you agree to these terms, you can look for a job.
Do I really have to give in that much? Things are going well, and I don't want to quit my current jobs.
Why? Isn't it obvious? This is what it means to be a wife. Don't tell me you don't understand that.
Logan spoke as if I were the one in the wrong. I was bewildered by Jacob's outdated mindset. But it was clear he wasn't going to budge. Thinking it would be less problematic to comply, I informed my company that I would be resigning to get married. A month later, I started working for a company that allowed me to work entirely remotely. While I no longer had to commute, my job was still full-time, so my weekdays were just as busy as before. On top of that, I had to finish all the housework before Logan came home, or he'd get angry, leaving me with a chaotic daily routine. Then one Sunday morning,
My mom is moving in with us soon, so clean up the houses, okay?
Logan, already dressed and ready to leave, said this to me as soon as I woke up. I had no idea what he was talking about and wondered if I was still half asleep. What? What did you just say?
I said my mom is moving in with us, so clean up so the houses looks presentable. I'm going to pick her up now.
Logan said that much and headed for the front door. I thought it was a misunderstanding, but it wasn't. Logan decided to have Catherine move in with us without asking me. Wait a minute. I seriously don't get it. Why didn't you talk to me about this?
There was no need to ask you. Mom's old and can't live alone anymore. That's why she's moving in. There was never an option for you to say no in the first place.
It's not that I'm opposed to Catherine living with us. We haven't seen each other since the wedding greetings, but if she's old and needs help, I can't blame her. However, I can't forgive Logan for making this decision all by himself. We're married, and he should have discussed it with me. Stop making every decision by yourself. Why didn't you at least tell me beforehand?
Don't make me repeat myself. Whether I told you or not, the result would have been the same. And seriously, you're so noisy for someone in a wife's position.
First of all, there's no such thing as a wife's position being inferior to her husband's, and his condescending attitude made me furious. But more than that, his selfishness left me utterly speechless. It's true that since we got married, Logan's behavior has sometimes been disrespectful, like pressuring me to quit my job. After the wedding, the true colors that weren't visible during our dating days started to show. But at this point, there's nothing I can do about it. I chose Logan, and he's not all bad. I decided to convince myself that I'd find a way to make things work. That afternoon, just as I finished cleaning the house, Logan brought his mother, Catherine, over. From today, I'll be training you hard as a proper wife, so get ready to step up. Catherine seemed to forget she was living in our home, acting slightly overbearing right from the start. Still, like Logan, it wouldn't help to dwell on it. Since I have my job during the day and Logan comes home in the evening, there shouldn't be too much time spent alone with Catherine. I decided to focus on living without overthinking it. However, living with the three of us exceeded my expectations.
I'll be home late again today, so don't bother making me dinner. Just cook whatever Mom wants.
What? Another work party?
It's part of the job, so there's nothing I can do about it. Got a problem with that?
Lately, Logan's been coming home late at night, claiming it's work-related parties, leaving me to spend more time alone with Catherine. Of course, I'm not saying he shouldn't go to work parties. It's understandable to a degree. But I was getting tired of him going out almost every day, leaving me with someone I barely knew. And the main source of my stress was having to spend time with Catherine. Logan's going to be late again tonight.
Oh, is that so? Then how about another cooking lesson today?
Under the pretense of training me as a wife, Catherine subjected me to constant mistreatment. She would order complex dishes and berate me endlessly if I couldn't make them perfectly. I was already busy with work, so it was impossible to keep the house spotless. But she'd nag me about it, even calling me during work to complain. Meanwhile, she spent her days eating snacks and watching TV, never lifting a finger to help around the house. If she's not going to help, I'd rather she not criticize. But I chose to avoid confrontation and let it slide, hoping to keep things peaceful. Without knowing what was going on at home, Logan spent every day out drinking, and my frustration with him kept building. I began to wonder if this kind of life would fall apart sooner rather than later. Wow, I'm pregnant. Even though my relationship with Logan had started to cool, I had conceived during the nights we were still intimate not too long ago. Having a child had always been my dream, and I was so happy that I cried. I resolved to work hard every day for this baby from now on. As a result, Catherine's mistreatment and Logan's selfish behavior didn't bother me as much anymore. But as my belly grew larger, doing household chores became increasingly difficult. Catherine, I'm feeling pretty awful with morning sickness. Could you handle dinner tonight?
What? Of course not. Why would I do anything for you?
As someone who had gone through this experience herself, Catherine should have understood how hard it was. It might be one thing for Logan not to understand or help, but I expected Catherine to show some empathy given her past. However, Catherine never helped me. The bigger my belly grew, the more the burden fell on me. Since neither Logan nor Catherine would help me no matter what I said, I pushed through every single day without taking a break until it was time to give birth. I delivered a healthy baby boy. He weighed more than average and cried loudly, and I was so moved that tears streamed down my face. Catherine and Logan arrived late, took a quick look at the baby, and hurriedly left the hospital. I named my son Jacob, but neither of them ever called him by his name. I had no idea what they were thinking, but a week later, I was discharged and returned home. What awaited me there was my belongings all packed up.
You cheated on me. We're getting divorced.
Get out, you worthless wife.
That's what Logan and Catherine declared to my face. A week after giving birth, neither of them had visited or even contacted me. I couldn't understand what was going on. I was shocked and momentarily at a loss for words. I had no idea what they were talking about. I hadn't cheated, and I couldn't figure out if they were just mistaken or something else entirely. Anyway, I decided to calm my upset mind and try to talk. I didn't cheat. What are you even talking about?
I know everything. That kid you gave birth to looks just like my best friend, Eric.
You had an affair with your husband's best friend and even had a kid with him? You're the worst kind of vixen.
Of course, this was a complete misunderstanding on their part. I never had an affair with Eric, nor had I even contacted him since quitting my job. Sure, the baby might be big and his eyes might resemble Eric's a little, but this was just baseless speculation. I didn't understand what evidence they thought they had, but I was furious. I didn't cheat, and we can do a DNA test if you want. Don't make absurd accusations without proof.
I've already got proof of your affair. That kid looks exactly like him, so there's no need for a DNA test. You're getting out of this house, period.
I'm divorcing a vixen like you. Understood?
Faced with their one-sided accusations, I was left speechless. I couldn't comprehend what these two were thinking. Were they really suspicious of an affair? Or did they have some other agenda? Either way, they weren't going to listen to anything I had to say. Since I lost my parents when I was young, I didn't have anyone I could rely on in times like these. It wasn't realistic for me to leave immediately. We're not in the right state to have a calm discussion now. Let's give each other some space. Also, I can't just leave right now. I'll stay out of your way, so give me a week to make arrangements.
No way. Go book a hotel or something.
I'll move your stuff outside, and after that, you're on your own. The divorce papers are ready, so just sign them and I'll take care of the filing. And don't expect a single penny from me. Live off your savings.
Logan said that and started silently carrying my belongings outside. Watching this unfold, I was at a complete loss for words and could only stare in shock. My belongings consisted of 2 suitcases and a duffel bag. Thrown out of my own home, I held my 1-week-old son, Jacob, and headed to a nearby hotel. Of course, I couldn't just accept this divorce as it was, so I kept trying to reach out to Logan afterward. But both Logan and Catherine were on the same page. The moment I realized it was pointless, I made up my mind to raise Jacob on my own. However, being a first-time mom, I had no idea what I was doing. I had to juggle work, childcare, and housework all by myself. If I ever got sick, there was no one to turn to. In this state, constantly on edge and never having a moment of peace, the days flew by. Thanks to working remotely, I was able to balance raising Jacob with my jobs. It was physically exhausting, but I managed to avoid major issues, and Jacob grew up to be 11 years old. One day, I decided to take Jacob to a nearby park. The cherry blossoms were in full bloom, and I thought it'd be nice for the two of us to enjoy the flowers together. But as soon as I saw the scene before me, I turned pale. No, this can't be. Jacob and I were sitting in a spot with a clear view of the cherry blossoms, eating the lunch we had brought. And there they were, Logan and Catherine, the very people who abandoned us 11 years ago. Even after all these years, I remembered those two vividly. All the memories of what had happened came flooding back, leaving me momentarily speechless. I tried my best to avoid making eye contact. Nothing good would come from this encounter. I just wished they'd leave and go somewhere else. But my wish was in vain. They noticed us and started walking toward us.
Is that you, Emily? And that boy?
Logan, my ex-husband, widened his eyes in surprise when he saw us and spoke. Not wanting him to say anything unnecessary in front of Jacob, I stood between them, avoiding eye contact.
He's my son. Let me greet him properly.
Let me see my grandson too.
Did they forget what they did 11 years ago? How could they have the audacity to call him their son or grandson? Logan was the one who insulted me, calling me an unfaithful woman, and abandoned his responsibility as a parent. He cut all contact and never paid child support. That's why I changed my phone number and cut all ties with him. You've got some nerve ignoring everything you've done. You don't have the right to call yourself his father.
What? Who do you think you are? After 11 years, this is how you talk to us.
He's my kid, so I'm not saying anything wrong.
I wasn't going to let him pretend he'd forgotten what he did 11 years ago. Still, I couldn't raise my voice in front of Jacob. Taking a deep breath, I calmed myself and started again. The one saying ridiculous things is you. You accused me of cheating and claimed he wasn't your child. Now you're suddenly saying he's yours. That doesn't add up.
Are you admitting you cheated? He's my kid, right?
Of course, Jacob is Logan's child. I've never been unfaithful. But it was Logan who denied it. Enough already. First of all, you doubted me. Now what's this about?
Just let me see my son.
Logan pushed me aside and tried to approach Jacob. But in that moment, Jacob said something that shocked us all.
Don't come near me, you filthy people.
What? Filthy people?
I was speechless, and Logan and Catherine stared, stunned. They probably never expected to hear something like that. Jacob glared at them intensely, his anger evident.
Stay away from my mom. Leave right now. I don't know you.
I had never talked to Jacob about Logan or Catherine. He had asked about his father a few times, but I never gave him details, and he understood. Jacob is a thoughtful and kind boy who often helps with chores and looks after me. It's hard to believe he shares any genes with someone as selfish as Logan. I couldn't hide my surprise.
What did you just say?
This must be a joke, right?
I said leave now. You're not family, and you're nothing to us.
Even though 11 years had passed, I vividly remembered Logan's selfish and short-tempered nature. Because of that, I was afraid that Logan might lose his temper with Jacob and even get violent. However, contrary to my expectations, Logan started to shed tears.
This can't be happening. I'm his father, aren't I?
It's absurd for someone who made my mom suffer to call himself my father.
Jacob said this firmly, leaving Logan and Catherine completely speechless. Indeed, Jacob was absolutely right. I was divorced right after our child was born, and I've led a really tough life. With no one to rely on, I had to raise Jacob all by myself. Both mentally and physically, I've been constantly pushed to the brink. Jacob must have seen me going through all that, which is why he spoke harshly to Logan and Catherine. However, as his mother, I couldn't let this continue any further. If you keep bothering us, I'll call the police right now. You're causing trouble, so could you please just go somewhere else?
You don't have to say it like that.
This is an emotional reunion for us, you know?
Honestly, there are tons of things I want to ask. Why did they suddenly change their attitude after accusing me of cheating? Didn't he remarry? Didn't he have any children? But right now, more than anything, I just wanted them to disappear from Jacob's sight. Just leave us alone right now. That's all I'm asking. When I said this firmly once again, the two reluctantly walked away. Since no major issue arose, I felt a bit relieved and quickly went over to Jacob. Are you okay?
I'm totally fine. Don't worry about it.
I see. That's good. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I never expected to run into those two. Jacob was more mature than I had thought, which was a huge relief. After that, I decided to tell Jacob everything that happened 11 years ago. He's not at an age to be treated like a child anymore, and he should be able to understand the whole situation. After hearing everything, Jacob didn't seem too surprised and told me with a smile that no matter what, I was his only family. I was once again determined to take full responsibility and protect Jacob until the end. However, I just couldn't shake off how much Logan and Catherine's behavior bothered me. Even though they falsely accused me of cheating and divorced me, why did they change their attitude so drastically? I didn't know what had happened in the past 11 years, but I decided to do a little digging. Hello? Long time no see. I called because I wanted to ask you something. I started calling old acquaintances and friends to thoroughly investigate what had happened over the past 11 years. Back then, I was too busy with work, housework, and raising a child to look into anything. But as I talked to various people, some unbelievable facts came to light. And after continuing my investigation, about a month later, I consulted a lawyer and reached out to Logan and Catherine. I told them I had something to discuss about Jacob and arranged to meet at a cafe in front of the station. I don't intend to waste time, so I'll get straight to the point. Is it true that you were having an affair 11 years ago? I looked straight into Logan's eyes as I said that. Logan stood there, his mouth agape in shock, but I had already uncovered everything. First, I contacted Eric, Logan's best friend and my former coworker.
What's going on?
Well, I wanted to ask you something about Logan. 11 years ago, I was accused of having an affair with you and was divorced without any evidence. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, he married my ex-wife right after you two divorced.
According to Eric, Logan remarried Eric's ex-wife immediately after divorcing me. Eric himself had been blindsided when his wife suddenly demanded a divorce, and he had no choice but to accept it. When Eric later discovered Logan and his ex-wife's relationship, he hired a private investigator. As a result, their affair was uncovered. Eric demanded compensation from Logan and his ex-wife before cutting all ties with them. At the time, I had already changed my phone number, so no one had been able to reach me. After hearing the whole story, I realized I could never forgive Logan, which is why I called him out. I know everything. You wanted to marry Eric's wife, so you made up baseless lies to get rid of both Eric and me, accusing me of being unfaithful. Isn't that right?
That's a misunderstanding. I'd never do something like that.
You even paid Eric compensation, didn't you? Do you really think you can talk your way out of this? As I said this, Logan hung his head. Catherine, on the other hand, refused to meet my gaze. Catherine wasn't innocent in this mess either. You know what you did too, don't you, Catherine? Monitoring my every move and helping Logan cover up his affair. Eric told me everything. Eric knew from the start that Logan wasn't clever enough to pull this off by himself. When he confronted Logan, Logan admitted that Catherine had been helping him. That's why I made sure Catherine was present for today's conversation. Given all that, if you have anything to say, go ahead.
You've got it all wrong. This is just a big misunderstanding.
Oh, really? For 11 years, I never imagined that Logan's infidelity was the reason I was abandoned with my child. And to think his mother was helping him all along. What a misunderstanding indeed. I said this clearly, looking both Logan and Catherine in the eyes. They must have started realizing how bad the situation was. I could see their eyes darting around nervously, clearly flustered. You understand the situation now, so here's what I'm demanding. Logan, I'll be requesting compensation and child support from you. You'll pay everything in a lump sum. If you refuse, I'm ready to take this to court.
What? Wait a second. You're demanding money?
Of course. If you cheat, you pay compensation. If you have a child, you pay child support. You already paid Eric compensation, so you should understand this by now. Even though everything was out in the open, they somehow thought they could walk away unscathed. That kind of mindset needs to change, but arguing about it now would be pointless. As for the exact amount, I'll decide after consulting with my lawyer.
Hold on. I can't accept that. We were trying to mend our relationship with you in the first place.
I was completely dumbfounded by Catherine's words. How could they say they wanted to fix our relationship while ignoring everything they had done? I have no intention of rebuilding any relationship with them. Even if we started over, there's no way it would turn into something positive. Their trust is already shattered, and there's no chance of repairing it. The audacity they had to even suggest such a thing showed how little they understood the gravity of their actions. I have evidence of your affair from Eric, and you're legally obligated to pay child support. No matter what you do, you can't escape the law.
I'm really sorry, but I've had my own struggles too. I remarried Eric's ex-wife, but it turned out she couldn't have kids, and we eventually separated. That boy is my only son.
It's obvious that having a father would be better for him than being in a single-parent home. So instead of thinking about demanding compensation, why don't you reconsider your stance?
I didn't care what had happened to them, nor did I want to know. They cheated, remarried, and now want to come back to me because she was infertile? Did they honestly think such a convenient excuse would work? If so, they were beyond shameless.
Let's start over, come together as a family, and try our best to make it work. I know we can do it.
I'll help with housework and childcare, and we can live together again as a family of 4. We can make up for the 11-year gap and build a wonderful home together.
Logan seemed to be appealing to my emotions, hoping for sympathy. And as for Catherine, I couldn't believe the nerve of her to say such things. If they were truly remorseful, they'd sincerely apologize and quietly pay the compensation and child support they owed. That's what they should be doing. But somehow they were under the delusion that this conversation was about reconciliation. Hearing such nonsense only fueled my anger further. Since we were in a cafe, I couldn't raise my voice. I took a deep breath and calmly resumed speaking. You heard it from Jacob himself. He doesn't see you as family. To him, you're nothing but people he resents. You need to understand that.
But
That's all I have to say. Neither of us wants to go to court, so make the smart choice. With that, I left the cafe. I left money for the coffee I ordered, but Logan chased after me. I told him there was nothing left to discuss, but he seemed unwilling to accept reality.
there's no way this one-sided decision is fair. I won't accept it. I'll fight for custody in court if I have to.
You don't earn much, just like Catherine, and you've got a domineering personality. Is that why you're clinging to me and Jacob? Because no one else would marry you? I said this as a final blow. Logan went silent, likely because I hit a nerve. And do you seriously think you'd win a custody battle?
I'm his father.
Then do whatever you want. My lawyer will contact you soon, and you can discuss it there. You'll see how ridiculous your claims are. With that, I hailed a cab and left. I went straight to my lawyer's office to begin the process of claiming compensation and child support. I entrusted all the details to my lawyer and returned to my daily life. For a while after that, my lawyer continued to negotiate with Logan and Catherine. Given their financial situation, they refused to pay everything in a lump sum. But I couldn't trust them to make payments over time. No matter what excuses they make, we're sticking to a lump sum payment. If they're employed, they can take out a loan to cover it.
Understood. If they can't comply, we'll take this to court immediately. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. I had my lawyer reiterate the demand for a lump sum payment. In the end, they borrowed money to pay the full amount. Logan is now living with Catherine, and their living expenses are higher than if he were living alone. On top of that, his debt repayments have increased, leaving him in a very difficult financial situation. But that's none of my concern. I've completely cut ties with Logan and Catherine, and now I'm living a happy life with Jacob, working together as a team. Eric, who suffered a similar ordeal, has since been promoted to an executive level position at his company and seems to be living a successful life. Of course, I know there will be many challenges ahead, but this experience has strengthened the bond between me and my son and clarified what I need to focus on. As a mother, I'm determined to continue working hard so that my beloved Jacob can grow up in a happy and carefree environment.